Now in this module, we are going to talk about the third and last lab in this class. In this lab, we are going to look at the adaptive cards. So we saw that I can create the adaptive cards and I can make them available. We mentioned about the conversation starters. So in this case, we're going to show that the data in the API plugins can be added to those declarative agents. So we already saw them in action. So let's see how we're going to deploy them. We are going to start this in the same process as we did before. We are going to start by accessing the package. So for this module, our goal here is going to be to create adaptive cards. These are basically from templates that we already have from the API. We are going to verify that the adaptive card, the template is correctly, particular for the API data that we want to configure. We're going to configure the API plugins, and then we are going to upload the declarative agent in Microsoft 365 Copilot. So the agenda here, 1, download the package. 2, we are going to update the API definition. 3, we are going to test our adaptive, our agent with the API plugin. Now, one of the things we're going to notice in here, the adaptive cards that we mentioned in there is that, well, I do have those buttons that I can push. Those are going to be the conversation starters. But these adaptive cards we're going to see now is going to be an image that may have a specific access that I want to be able to connect to, right? Beyond just the conversation starter, we now have images that I can assign. So the agents use the API plugins to generate responses processed by the language model. We know that. So these responses can be dynamically built in lists, tables, enhanced. So now agents can be more visible in a sense as well, right? The original content is going to be modified with these or enriched with these adaptive cards. So how can we make these adaptive cards work with us, work for our agents? Well, first of all, we're going to define the adaptive card. Right? I'm going to specify what image I'm going to be using, what are the name of those, what are the functions, if there are any specifics that I want to be able to add to those adaptive cards, I am going to refer to them. So the API definition is already there. Now I'm going to assign a configuration, a performance to this model, right? So the return structure for this, it's going to be controlled by the presentation. So I have a card, I want to be able to see this, define the template, and then be able to see the properties and the examples that is going to be available to the user once they plug onto that. Let's start by building our adaptive cards. We're going to start by going to GitHub and downloading the package, and then we are going to build our adaptive cards. That's going to be the first exercise. The second exercise, we are going to then add the adaptive card to our dish. So we're going to have the pictures of what the dish is being ordered. And then we're going to look at the templates that displays the order summary. That's the second exercise. And we're going to close this lab with a third exercise, which is provisioning this into our Copilot. So we can test and view this in the Copilot. All right, let's start. Okay, I'm here in Visual Studio. I already downloaded my package. And I open the package file, and here it is, Learning Declarative Agent Plugin. Notice that I have my assets. I did mention about the screenshots and so forth. I created a new directory called Cards, where I added my dish. I have the JSON file that was configured based on the exercise. I also have the dish, and I have the order. These are added as part of the exercise. I took this content that you see here, where basically talks about the adaptive card schema. It talks about the type, the name, the text that's going to be shown on the adaptive card, which is a type of container. And then, of course, the type, the facts, what is going to be displayed on this image in there as well, it's put in here. We did this for both orders and dishes. So we took the content from these adaptive card, the files that we added in the cards, and we went into our app package. We went into the specification files here. we found the AI plugin JSON, and we entered the content for the adaptive cards right here. Right, so I configured the adaptive card with the images that we are going to use for both the dishes and the orders. As you can see, there's a place order there as well. So my adaptive card, the information was added this into my plugin, so the AI plugin. Now that the adaptive card is being added and the configuration is being made, the next step is going to be to publish that and get it running. So the first thing we're going to do is click Run, and let's run with a debugging. This is going to go through the process of building our configuration and then deploying that. It is going to also bring the browser, and in the browser is going to display our restaurantee, and then we are going to be able to click on the, we call this the suggestions, as you mentioned from the prompt, we saw that before. We're going to be able to click on it and then see the adaptive cards in action. Let's give it a second. It's completing the deployment, and then the browser is going to be kicked in as part of the process, and then we'll be able to see our Copilot in action. And here we go. We can see that the browser is now coming alive. We are going to see our agent configured, and once we begin to use the agent, we will see the adaptive cards in action. Here it is. We have our conversation starters. We have the restaurant right here, our agent. And now I can click on what is for lunch today. Now I can execute, and we'll be able to see that it's going to give me from the API a list of the content from the menu. And when I select those, I'll be able to see my adaptive cards. Here it is. So I have the caprese salad, I have spaghetti, I have some grilled cheese, and when I click on the salad, I'll be able to see an image of the salad and the cost of that. Also, I can click on spaghetti and the grilled chicken. This is awesome. So now I have my adaptive cards configured as well. This brings us to the end of this exercise. Let's now review what we have completed so far. So for this exercise, what we did is we were able to create an adaptive card. We were able to look at the rendering of the API. So when we click on our items, we'll be able to see the image, see the card, and call the plugin. We published that, and we were able to test this on our Copilot. And this brings us to the end of this learning path as well, and this last module. Let's now review what we have accomplished in this training, and then send us on our path to learn a little bit more about Copilot, agents, and get excited about using it on a daily basis.